is just 10x, which is still a lot, but not as much as the leap from $2 to $100. That's 50x your money. And that's because for Bitcoin, there's now less assumptions. The story is clear. The less clear it is, the more assumptions we have to make, and the more we can assume the price would go up. And that's where XRP is still today. A lot of what I talked about in this video are incredibly good reasons for the price to go up. But remember, they are assumptions based on assumptions of assumptions about the future. And the farther out we extrapolate into this future and assume that we're right about it, the price gets crazier. But remember, at the edge of expectations, our assumptions turn into belief. But here.
Hello, everybody. This is Zip. Welcome to the show. And this is exactly what we do. We build and put the puzzle pieces together for the cryptocurrency market. And we take assumptions and we build on those assumptions until one day we start to see all of that come together. Again, thank you for joining us. Hit likes, comments out there, and subscribe to the channel. I am a utility maxi. I am not a maxi. I'm one coin. I love all ISO 222 coins, which we're going to get into today. And utility driven crypto is where I see everything going in the future as they change the financial infrastructure. We're seeing it and it's getting out the mainstream. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the institutions and how they're coming, and they are going to drive a lot of liquidity into the market. We're going to have a stablecoin conversation and kind of look at where the market is going and do some analysis on Tether. We're also going to look at who will take, and if it's possible to take that number 2 altcoin spot that Ethereum has. And do we believe XRP can take that? Well, we're going to find out, and we're going to look at that from an engineering purview. And then also a possible way now to earn passive yield on your dormant XRP. And I will provide cautionary notes for that. And again, everything is about being safe out there. Keep your stuff secured and off of the exchanges is what I preach all the time. Now, FedWire, and this is one of the reasons why I don't put anything on dates. And I don't look at specific dates as if that is the event that is going to cause any of these assets to go up. It is a macro view, and we need to look long term. And this is the exact reason why FedWire Fund Service ISO 222 implementation has been moved to July 14th. If you recall, previously that was March. And yeah, they've kicked the ball down the road again, and we've seen this a few times. And this is the implementation of banks having to utilize the ISO 222 messaging system for financial transactions within the banking system. But again, kicked down the road, wanted to get that out. And yep, it's just a date, and we don't worry about it. Now, let's shift gears and let's look at institutions and what Charles Hoskinson had to say about institutions coming in. And this is the bigger view. This is why you have to understand what you hold, do your own research, and be patient. Have a patient investment strategy. And again, I am not giving you financial advice. I'm giving you practical advice, and then you can make the decision from there. But long-term holding of these assets is going to equal huge profits for you in the future. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I will be here to make it through that finish line, and I hope you will as well. Let's take a listen.
They're so excited about the markets. They think the markets are going to go parabolic, because you look at it, you got sovereign wealth funds coming in and buying crypto. You got basically the U.S. government saying it's going to start holding Bitcoin, and they're going to get that passed. Stablecoin legislation is going to get done within 100 days. All the markets are going to open up. Big companies like Microsoft and Google will come in, Apple will come in and create cryptocurrency wallets because they legally can do this. XAI is going to have a largest cryptocurrency wallet in the world right now, 500 million people. They're going to flip the switch there in a little bit. Real world assets are entering the crypto space. $20 trillion on the institutional side is going to come into crypto, and those markets are going to merge. So all the institutional guys, and by the way, they are the degens of degens.
$20 trillion in the coming years, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why I am diversified across my portfolio, because I don't believe one winner takes all. If you are not, that's a judgment call for yourself. But I want to be in all of the markets, and I want to capture the tokenization that's coming. I want to tackle the banking industry that's being changed right before our eyes. And that's why I just invest across the board. Now, let's again look at, and this is from Smoke, again, building a thesis, building the big picture. Here is the macro view. The institutions are coming. The big boys are adopting blockchain quietly because they never let you know what's going on. And that's why we are positioned very, very early. We are so lucky that we're in early before the big boys are starting to figure out what's going on here for this huge wealth transfer that is happening right before our eyes. But let's take a listen to this and build some confidence for what you own.
See in that space in particular over the next year?
Well, as you mentioned, it's also yield-bearing stablecoins. Stablecoins kind of has a wider definition, which also is a problem because we need to narrow that definition for people to really create standards and grow. But money market funds that are tokenized, we've seen that already come to fruition in two different places. First, Franklin Templeton, they created this, call it Benji app, where they've tokenized a money market fund. And interestingly, because it was tokenized in such an easy to use interface, that particular money market fund actually within the first month doubled their assets because everyone was using it because it's so easy to use, and there was an interest in getting more yield at the same time. JP Morgan, working with BlackRock, they've also tokenized a money market fund. So that's a perfect example of like adoption, product market fit, and unfortunately it goes below the fold in terms of the search engine headlines because everyone's so focused on.
Again, below the fold. They're doing this quietly behind the scenes, and we're seeing that. And that's part of this channel. I'm trying to bring you that information to allow you to build some confidence so you know the big picture. And as he said in this, they need to make this an easy to use solution. Us degens that have been doing this, and we understand custody and we understand wallets. The masses that are coming to this do not understand that. They don't want to understand that. So it needs to be very easy as they roll out the new financial system. And that's why I'm of the belief that stable coins is going to be that's going to be the front end device as we talk about the digital dollar and the transformation of what's going on. And that's where we're going to move now to a stable coin discussion. Again, this is Brad, where he's discussing about stable coins and specifically Tether. And we know that Tether has had some issues as far as regulatory clarity, and they do currently own the market share, which we'll see here in a minute. But I don't know what's going to go on with Tether, but with RLUSD as the only one, which we know is enterprise grade stablecoin authorized by the NYDFS, New York, is growing quietly. And let's take a listen to this and see what Brad, his compilation of what's been going on with regards to stable coins and Tether.
Tether is, but I'm pro Tether and an advocate. The U.S. government, I think, is less so. That may change also, but Tether has intentionally set up outside the United States, outside of kind of the long arm of the U.S. Regulator. The players in that space, particularly one called Tether, is a non-U.S. based entity, and the U.S. frankly is kind of going after that because they want this to be regulated.
Tether is an interesting. Ripple uses Tether in some of our customer payment flows, and I'm bullish. I worry a little bit back to the transparency point. I think Tether would benefit by being even more transparent. I doubt Tether may continue to grow, but I doubt it will have the same market share in 2 years, let's say. So in the incumbents today, you have Tether and USDC as the primary.
Again, that market share and that transparency could definitely hurt Tether. And what that does to the market, we do not know, because right now, as we look at this, we can see Tether's market cap is in the trillions of dollars, right? We look down here at Ripple currently in their market cap. And again, the volume RLUSD just came out in early January, late December. They're still minting and still building across the enterprise sections, but we see what is going on at the US regulation level as they're pushing stablecoin regulation. And as Brad alluded to, I don't believe that the US is going to back things up again with anything that is not able to be easily regulated. And that's why Tether could run into some issues, but we'll be here to see as we travel through this journey. This is from Smoke again. Ripple's role in establishing RLUSD as the unofficial digital dollar. We know that President Trump has stated in an executive order, we will not have a CBDC. That's in the EO. So a central bank digital currency. He is not going that route based off of that EU. And we know that the CFTC CEO forum, which includes Ripple, confirms that US regulators are actively shaping the role of stablecoins in a compliant financial system. All of this is based off of regulation, the underlying foundation to be compliant and to have compliancy and transparency, as we're seeing with the Doge and Elon Musk as he's going through and they're looking at and evaluating the different agencies within the government because they want it to be transparent. Up to this point, we don't know where money is moving. And that's why part of the conversation is putting everything on the blockchain. But back to the stable coins, Ripple's participation is critical because its network is designed for real-time settlement and liquidity management, making it a key infrastructure provider for dollar-denominated stablecoins. By leveraging Ripple's technology, RLUSD will achieve low-cost cross-border transactions, increasing adoption among banks, payment providers, and financial institutions worldwide as they flip the script and modernize the financial infrastructure. We know it's archaic, it's outdated, and it's all being changed right before our eyes. And Ripple is at the forefront in these conversations. We know they're in Washington. We know they're having conversations daily. So you should be very excited if you are holding XRP. More news about XRP. So Grayscale's ETF has moved to the next level. The SEC has acknowledged Grayscale's XRP ETF 19B4 filing. And again, these things are just timing mechanisms. So they've acknowledged it, and now will we get an XRP ETF? I believe it's almost guaranteed. We just don't know what the date is, but it's coming this year, ladies and gentlemen. As we look here at the institutions behind ETFs, and this is a picture of BTC and ETH, and we see what happened with them and with the distribution of institutional BTC and Ether fund holders, and we see how it was invested. As we look ahead, though, in 2025, when our XRP ETF and even Solana's ETF is dropped and approved, it's going to drive institutional interest and more adoption. It's an easy mechanism for the institutions to come in to the market and custody some of these cryptos, XRP being the one that we're talking about. And it's coming, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're excited. More news. Brad, again, he is in the front line in Washington, D.C., having conversations. We know we'll see what happens as far as him being on the digital chair board there, but he came out yesterday and it said, walked away from an action-packed day in DC yesterday with the feeling that there's finally an incredible opportunity to advance meaningful bipartisan legislation that establishes clear, constructive, and pro-innovation regulatory frameworks for crypto. Absolutely the most exciting time to be alive, and we are watching this. We have front row seats. Again, we were here from the very beginning. And if you're new and you're a new investor in the crypto market, you're in the right place at the right time. Just begin to educate yourself, listen to this content, listen to other content, and build your confidence. But very exciting times ahead. Now let's transition and let's talk about ETH, which currently has that #2 altcoin spot. And what Austin King, and you remember Austin King is behind Omni Labs, and he is an engineer, a computer scientist, has been in the markets for a long period of time. Let's listen to what he has to say about ETH and why he thinks that XRP could take that #2 spot.
Ethereum is not, ETH, the asset, is not in a good place. And so the TLDR on what's happened is it had this like fantastic opportunity where it was the first like really large scale deflationary network. So like not only was it finite supply like Bitcoin, there was actually less Ethereum each month that passed. So this was super cool because it was literally a deflationary currency. That's not the case anymore. It started externalizing activity to these L2s, which most of them are just run on a single computer. It's not even like they're like a decentralized network. And it's inflationary again. I can tell you, so my background, like I studied computer science at Harvard. I did a ton of engineering in my first company, and I do a lot of research here, even though I'm not coding anymore. My engineering brain does not see a path to Ethereum ever becoming inflationary again or deflationary again. And so, I mean, this past weekend, I was talking with more kind of like ETH insider people, and like a lot of people are bearish right now because none of us like can think with our engineering brains and see a path forward that is super bullish for ETH, the asset.
Again, ETH, we know it's been going through some transition periods here, and it's not sitting in a great place. And this is not Zip telling you this. This is someone that's in the industry and has been in the industry and has coded on these networks. And again, perspective is ETH is no longer deflationary. We know that XRP and these other investments that we are in are deflationary assets. They are decentralized at the layer 1 position place. And so we'll see what happens. But I got a feeling we're going to take that #2 spot as all this institutional value, the macro view, starts to come in. Very exciting, and we'll see what happens. Now, transitioning. We've been waiting for a long time to be able to use our XRP so we can earn additional liquidity and passive yield, if you would, on dormant XRP. Now, the word of caution here is Doppler Finance has dropped their new capability to be able to utilize your XRP and earn yield from that. Now, I am not positioned in this yet because I want to do due diligence. So this is more of a warning. Do your own research and go out to Doppler Finance if you're interested and read the white paper. Read what they are doing here. I read it once, but I'm going to go back through and I'll probably do a deeper dive on this. Eventually, once I feel comfortable, at that point, I may dive in, but I am definitely not releasing any of my XRP. I want to make sure it's secure. As I've said in the past, I got swallowed up into Celsius and some of these other advent of DeFi early on in 2020, 2021 to environment and lost my rear end. And I don't want that to happen to you. So just a word of caution. It is out there. Doppler has released, and initially they've only allowed 200,000 XRP TVL. And I believe that's already been swallowed up immediately. And they're preparing for the second batch. But do your own research again. And if you're comfortable with this, and when I'm comfortable with this, I will report on it. But be careful on the onset, you know, as you're investing into these environments. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the content. Again, please like, subscribe, put comments down there, put questions. I try to stay up on that as much as possible. And I will continue to give you the latest and greatest content. And until next time, Zip is out.